Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Orange Card, Blue Card. I'm Sam Tate. I'm joined with Undefeated at Locals, Marvin Emory. Marvin, how you feeling today?
Not too bad, Sam. Not too bad. Happy to be here with you.
Thank you for joining me. I've been following your guys' content for a hot minute now. It's very cool to get the Locals gameplay, and you guys do a lot of like really, I guess, like popular matchups, I would say, for like new characters.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. We've just been having a lot of fun breaking into content, and yeah, it's been a great time.
Yeah, you guys have been chugging at it. I think. Are you guys at 2 years now?
Yes, about to be.
Okay, yeah. I knew it was sometime around, or it was around Worlds. I think when you guys first started posting.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool stuff. So if you guys haven't, make sure you go check out Undefeated at Locals. Go subscribe. We'll get the plugs out of the way early, all that good stuff, because it's probably better just to do the plugs at the beginning anyway. But I think the video I've liked the most, and the one that I like content that's different than what I would want to make, right? Like the stuff that I want to make is typically not stuff I necessarily want to watch. And in this case, it's stuff I can't really make. And that is when you guys did your nationals report, like players report. I recognize that even when I'm a player at an event, I tend to have a very different experience than I guess you would say like your average player. I'm there for different things. This is the worst thing, and I promise it's not a humble brag, but like in my Discord, there's a really good conversation going on about like how to make events more fun for everyone. You know, like how to make the event going experience like more exciting, and specifically the discussion of side events was really good. And someone asked me how I would fix side events, and it immediately dawned on me I've played in exactly one side event my entire MHA career.
Nice.
You know, and that was in Orlando year one at the RLE, and it's because they were doing side events after Top Cut started, and I got eliminated by Jose Narono in top 16 in like 10 minutes. He was playing like the very first version of the Staff Strike Giro. And I was playing Denki 1. And so every time I played a double jab, he would do the once per turn, and he would go, "Yeah, I can block this."
Yes, yeah, the best move. I think that's the one time he played Giro too, so you really got screwed there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's also like the only deck that had self-sacrifices and things like that. And so like I was just always off lethal by one. Like I got hosed by DR. It was very funny stuff though. But yeah, so that was a very quick ending in my top 16 run. I had just enough time to join a provisional side event. And those were like best of ones.
Yeah, they sure were.
Yeah.
Lose the game and you're out.
Yeah. 8-person pods, best of ones, and only the winner gets in it. You get like one provisional promo, and then the winner gets like 3 or something.
Yeah.
But it feels like forever. So anyway, so your guys' video was really cool because I think it's like the one thing I wish more people would really do, who aren't like casting or judging, because usually people are doing content involved in like a bunch of other stuff, and that's normal. But like I want to know what it was like for you guys at nationals. What is it like when you go to an event?
Yeah. So in the video, basically like that type of same experience, right? Like you mentioned, we're not like I'm not involved with UVS games, haven't really attempted to. So the side events, the main event is like the calling for me, right? That is why I'm traveling to these things. Of course, to see the homies as well, but that can't really be the entire reason I spend $2,000-3,000 to travel to Texas. So yeah, in the beginning, funny enough, you mentioned the provisional pods. I think those events were actually really sick. Like that was like a very large event that you got to go to if you just scrubbed out of the main event, right?
Yeah, it's something that but like I said, I haven't really had too much experience with, and it made me think. I was like, if I scrub out of playing universes, how much universes do I really want to play, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and specifically, I guess not universes, I guess really MHA, like because now we have retro as an option. I thought that was really cool because I was like, well, if I drop out of playing standard 1v1 MHA block format, but I want to go back to playing the standard 1v1 MHA block format if retro's on the table, now triple threat's on the table.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Triple threat was like triple threat was honestly mostly 99% of the reason that I recorded the Nationals video. I was so mad about that side event. All the way back in the Omaha Provisional, my co-content creator Edgar played with Sean and Broberg. He played that format like for the very first time way back when. And so that's something that we would have been stoked to go do again. We heard nothing about it. There was no notification. There was no like overhead
Mm.
announcement. It was just pods randomly popping off. By the time they were running those, I'd already left the venue just out of anger for the other side events just not going well.
Yeah, it's see that's the other thing is I don't really know when the side events are going on. Sometimes you hear like people call for it on the microphone, but
Yeah.
most of the time I'm in the middle of a game. You know, most of the time if it's not in between rounds, they always do it at like the start of a round, because that's when it's quiet and everyone's like sitting down. And so, you know, like I said, like I just don't have too much experience with side events, and I feel like I wouldn't be thinking about because people mostly talk about the pricing for the side events because the pricing seemed to have gotten worse as time went on. People didn't seem super happy about retro being go 5-0 or nothing, and even if you do, or like if you went 4-1, you got like one promo or something.
Yeah, for sure. Like for the teams event, I spent $30. Granted, it was for three people, so like $10 each realistically. But I spent $30. We were each handed. I was handed three back alley haymaker promos, three total, so one for each of the people signed up. Me and my team got to play exactly 1.5 rounds. No, sorry, not even 1.5. We got to play one round because our first round was Kevin Broberg's team. Kevin got screwed more than anybody because once again, like there was no announcement to the team's event actually starting. There
Oh,
was
so
no
he wasn't there?
yeah, so he wasn't there. We walked up to him and Tim Keefe playing a board game. That was the very first time that he'd heard that the team's event was started, was when round one was popping off. So he just gave us the win. And even that feels bad, right? You came to play the card game, not just like take a W.
Right.
And then our next round, we lost to like a bunch of overhaul players. So
Yeah, that was another thing in the very beginning too, where you'd hear people are like, "Well, is it real teams, or is it just like any three decks?" Because in the very beginning, they were trying to do like team stuff. You couldn't have the traditional rules of the old championship format. You know what the I don't. I guess I should ask, how long have you been playing? Have you been playing just MHA or?
just MHA, yeah.
Okay, yeah. How long? What set did you start with?
Very first set, I started with the pre-release actually.
Okay, okay, yeah. I normally do like a whole spiel at the beginning so people get to know all the
Fair.
guests, but I figure you guys got enough of that like in your own content. I was just like,
Yeah,
let's roll with it.
absolutely.
But yeah, yeah. So just so everyone's aware, right? The old teams format, or I guess like people say the true teams format. I don't know. I don't want to say the championship teams format because that sounds like something we never called it. But point is you'd go to a major, and whether it was Nats or Worlds or UK Nats or wherever, we would have a teams event on day one of three, and we would do the top cuts on the same day as singles top. But the rules for building the decks were you couldn't have any of your partners, any of your teammates' characters in your decks, which got weird because sometimes there was like a weird instance where people got DQ'd because someone was essentially playing buddy blocks in their deck, or
Oh,
they were,
okay.
yeah, they were playing. They had like a cool combo that I'm still not sure was like legal or real, but it was ruled to work anyway. But it was a character who said at the end of your turn you have to discard a card from your hand. And so they put characters in their deck that say after this is discarded due to your character's effect, do a thing. It was like very cool. The problem is they didn't have teammates, so they signed up with another person and they just had random decks put together. And that person was playing the character who actually stacks those cards, who actually uses those character cards like
Okay.
as part of their normal strategy. And they fit the other normal deck building restriction, which is normally the only real restriction is you can only have 8 copies of a card amongst your whole team. So
Yeah.
typically 4 and 4, or 2 2 3, whatever, 2 2 4. I've seen it like a revoke split that way, where like one deck is like I need like 4 revoke or like 4 of like Taguros, and then the other 2 decks are like, well, we also like that, but we'll split.
Fair.
And so they got like their team was like illegal because the rules are meant that you have 3 individual characters. They don't want you sideboarding into the same character, so you're 3 overhauls. They don't want you sandbagging, in your main deck and then swapping them out or whatever. And in the very beginning, you can't really have those rules because there's only 1 set or 2 sets, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would love to see teams come back as a major and have like a time where I actually like plan a team, because I teamed with Tam Cardwell and dude, I'm blanking who it was because it was one of 2 people. It wasn't Andrew because he was casting. I'm gonna feel super bad. Might have been Brandon Jones because he was there, but thought we had a different teammate. But I think it would. Anyways, we were teaming in Pasadena, and we had like a little bit of time to like actually discuss it, and like had a bunch of his cards, and it was so cool to actually like kind of like theorize it and not just be like, here's the deck I played yesterday. It's the only one I have.
At the event, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that was my case. I did that because I didn't bring a bunch of cards with me because I've never done a side event before. But so we did that one in Pasadena, and we got to play, like you said, like 1.5 rounds. Like we had our first round was like cut super short or something. Like we didn't either we didn't know when the timer was or something was weird. Then our second round opponents, I think we just won. We either got creamed. We got creamed 1 round. We won like a nail biter at time, and then we tied the 3rd round or something. And by the end of it, 3 out of the 4 teams had the same record.
Yeah.
Like 3 of the teams were like 2-0-1 or something like that, or like all like 1-1-1, and there was like 1 team that just took all the L's. And
yeah, that was a huge problem at nationals as well. They were supposed to be top 4 prizing, but because of how many teams ended up joining and how they ran the event, the only top 4 were going to be the undefeated teams. So like it felt pointless to continue the round because you just like you didn't get anything.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because on one hand, I want to think that like anything's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Any opportunity, and especially if it does have like if there's some baseline participation, and you just weigh, okay, is it worth $10 to get a back alley haymaker, right? Like that's at least that's simple math.
Yeah, it's super fair.
And we can all just decide, all right, this is either worth it or not. But and also at the end of the day, it just needs like the tiniest bit of thought, right? Like the tiniest bit of like, here is exactly what's going to happen. Here's an extensive list of like every way that this new thing, because someone it's in the creators chat on the Discord, the main Discord. Someone was asking about like triple threat gameplay, and one of the first things that came up was someone was like, yeah, if you can post like what the rules are.
Yeah.
Like people are down to do it, but it's like, I don't know. I think someone's probably made a video by now. I know UK Versus did a video about it. I don't know if it's how to play or if it was just them playing triple threat. But
they did how to play, but it was also like they house ruled it. I guess one of their house rules is now included in the official ruling. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's still a little muddy. It's still a little um, disorganized, and so it's cool that they have an interest in this multiplayer format. And it's very cool that everyone seems to enjoy it and want to play it. And so now it's time to empower the players. Let the players play the format, right? Like make it just the slightest bit worth their time because um I mean, strictly speaking, if there's like no prizing or anything, then people can just group up and do pods for free, right? Like there's nothing
Yeah, yeah,
forcing
but even that's fun, right? Like that's the surprising thing at these events that you like. I feel you saw it in the beginning, but we've gone away from it. I don't often see groups of people just jamming games, right? Like I feel that I saw that a lot more in like the first Vegas regional, and like I don't know if that's like a UVS games thing or like a community thing. I just don't often see it outside of like the groups of teams, right? Like unfun stuff, like undefeated at locals. Like, of course, you're going to be jamming games with your teammates, but
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't know if it would be a symptom of being jaded because there's definitely a time where very early on when I showed up, all I wanted to do was practice before the event. All I wanted to do was get games in, get that last minute testing to see how my deck's going to do, what changes I probably made last night, this
absolutely.
morning. And now I get there and all I want to do is sleeve my deck and just shuffle for an hour and not talk to anybody.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
So I don't know if that's playing the game for 10 years or if that's something other people go through where like in the beginning it's like super new and you meet new people and naturally you challenge them to play the game stuff and
Yeah,
then
now you're all friends and whatnot. You don't have to challenge. You don't like let's duel. Yeah,
yeah. And you've just played so much more of the game by now that when you see because I see it's becoming really popular, at least with a few people in the community, to meet up and go to a baseball game instead of doing side events.
yeah, yeah. Fair, fair. I heard about that. That would be pretty sick, especially with how their side events are going.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where if you're competing with people who are gonna go see a baseball game in town or go to a basketball game or even go see a movie, that's where I think that like I'm not super concerned on events. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, or at least like not side events. Like I'm concerned on making the main event not even necessarily something that you want to be in all day because again, like that's the conflict, right? Like when I think about do I want to drop out of playing this game in this format to play a side event of the same format, I especially am like no thanks, like give me something different.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if I'm someone who only brought one deck and it just went 0-2 when I needed it. I don't want to play this deck, right? So I always think of like what is other stuff that can be going on around the venue that isn't the card game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And so we've had like VAs doing autographs and stuff. I think they got like I think for Nats the first year we had the Toga voice actress and they hired like a cosplayer and stuff and so like people could get like pictures and like that's like something, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. At Worlds, we had like two voice actors there, and like people were all lined up and everything.
Yeah, people were like stoked to get like their cards signed and things like that. So again, this is like it's weird for me to talk about because that kind of stuff doesn't particularly appeal to me. Stuff that would appeal to me is things that would make me want to stay in the main event and not drop from the. So I think I'm in the minority.
Yeah, yeah, fair. I'm right there with you. I want to just play Swiss, right? It actually their prize wall used to piss me off because they didn't give you points for placing high in Swiss. They only give you points for top cutting, and that like used
Oh,
to make me angry as well. I'd get like 18th place and be like, "Cool, that was like my whole day. I don't get shit now. Thanks, Jesco." But
yeah. I definitely remember the prize wall. The issue being if you bubbled out, there's nothing left on the prize wall, and
yeah,
so
yeah, Exactly.
People were like 4-1 dropping or whatever, and like just going, well, I'm not gonna make top cuts anyways, but I want that toga statue.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. We definitely need like more things in Swiss. Like as an old head, you probably know. I heard that they used to like pass out promos during rounds. Like they used to
Yes,
like pass out different things. Like that would be a great idea.
they still did at nationals. I think they were. I saw people going around during rounds passing stuff out, but maybe it was only for like the one round.
Yeah, it was for
Um,
round one. Yep. Yeah.
yeah, they used to do a promo per round basically. So every round you stayed, someone would come out and pass out the same promo. I think maybe there are some events where they're randomized, but like nobody really like cared. No one really said anything. But you were at like a 30-person PTC where you were there to hang out with your buds, right? Like we weren't competing for we weren't competing for a ticket to Worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were competing for at most a plane voucher that you would probably spend to go to Worlds.
Yeah, fair.
Which plane tickets, plane vouchers, what they're doing with the winter warm up stuff is really smart because it's you're making the pricing self fueling, right? It's self fulfilling that if you give someone a plane ticket and they like playing your game, they're gonna use the plane ticket to go play your game somewhere else.
Yeah. I actually really liked how that event mostly in its entirety was run. It was very well done, very good pricing. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very cool. I'm glad that they're doing it. I don't like playing on a webcam. I didn't end up streaming the event, and I did not expect to make day two at all. Once I did make day two, I knew I wasn't gonna win. I saw Patrick Toombs on Mirio, and I was just like, well, that's my worst matchup.
I heard you got like turn 2'd with 7 moves.
Yes, like he played. I wish I was recording it. Like that is the one thing out of like for not streaming it because I was not feeling good. And I was even telling people like, hey, if I seem like antisocial today, like please, it's not you, it's me. And so like I just did not want to be on camera. But
Fair.
when what was it when Patrick was having his turn 2 game 1, I wish I was recording it because he was like apologizing for like how good his deck was doing. And normally every other time in my life I'd be like, no, dude, don't apologize. Like you built it to do this. You built it to commit these crimes. Don't apologize now. No, but really I would be like, don't apologize for doing good. Like it's not a problem. But so when people do that, it's they can feel the luck, right? It's not they're not apologizing for doing good. They're apologizing because they know that the luck is definitely a factor at this. But he played 13 cards the whole game, built 5 turn 1, and then ironically built 2 male bonding, by the way, which never gonna get used. Not even gonna have a chance. Me Nomu jealous of male bonding over there, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, and so he even said, I'll never forget. This is why I wish I recorded it because he said, "Man, I feel really bad for my checks later," referencing the fact that he checked 5 foundations to play those 5 cards. Because he was like, "Man, I'm using up all my foundation checks. Like I'm just gonna, even if I draw attacks, I'll just check poorly." And then he proceeded to go. It had to be Phantom Threat, Ghost of Momentum, Rejuvenating, draw 2, Valiant, draw 2, Capture Evil Doers. We have checked only 5s. That was on a 5, on a 5, on a 5, on a 4. We have checked only 5s and 4s. I think he might check the 4 on the capture just because it's fun. Because at the point of the capture passing, I think on the 4 he was just kind of like, I guess it's happening. And then he plays, I kid you not, Hardened Jab, and he goes from 5 foundations to 6. So he 7 checked that, and then he plays. I think the first Valiant Assault I used a Vast Strength on too, and like that's how few foundations I'm operating, right? And then he goes jab, Valiant Assault again, jab on a 6, commit the face down, pick it up,
Pick it
rebuild
up.
it. So we
Yeah.
still have not effectively done anything but plus because these are all fives. And then he played a Phantom Threat on an 8 and finally committed 3. And it was just, I'm at like 4 or whatever. And it was just like the actual. I tried to run it back in my head and I thought to myself, is there actually a more optimal turn that deck could have?
Yeah.
You know, I think the only way is if that first hardened jab is a back alley haymaker because there's only one in the deck,
Yeah.
like one main board. I think if that first hardened jab is a back alley haymaker, that is the only way it could be more optimal.
Yeah, yeah, you could have 7 foundations by the end of his turn.
Yeah, because you get the one and then you get but
Yeah.
even then, I think he picked up an attack. I think he picked up the Phantom with the second jab. So if that's the case, then it's not true. The back alley is not optimal because by then I'm already committed out from responding. So if he picked up the last attack and it was the only way to kill me with the jab, then it was explicitly only optimal to go jab, attack, jab.
See, this is why I don't talk to my opponents. I
I
played for
was
you two,
silent.
and I drew a hand of just I drew a 1 blank attack and 5 foundations. They died on that turn.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I hope I didn't come off as a poor sport. I did say GG's, you know. I was just silent. I was just like, I think in game 2, I mulliganed a 1 foundation into a 1 foundation and then did proceed to check a bunch of threes. And I think one time I was like, of course. You know, I let it slip like one time. I hit of course, the back alley on turn 2 checks a 3 or something. But and then it did not matter. But I checked a 3 to block an attack. I had a sick fucking defensive play that did not matter. I was super dead to everything else. But he was changing the zones to high, and I had a committed ultra regen. I was committed out, and I picked up a sugar rush to block on a 5, and it would have made him play one more attack. But I checked a 3, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. How this goes, and he showed me like 3 more attacks he can pass. I'm like, yeah, but I wanted this one.
Yeah. I don't care what you have in your hand. I just wanted the one thing.
I wanted my ultra. It's the only time I've ever enhanced with it. I wanted that to go off. You know. Either way, I truly, despite how it sounds now, I did not have fun playing that event. And I did not want to make content about it. I don't want to dwell on that because it doesn't really have that much to do with the event itself. The event ran fine. I required so much luck. My deck was so poorly built.
Fair.
My deck was very simple. It was very last minute. I got a lot of help from my locals, very swell people in Vegas who help me with cards I need all the time. And so, like, I borrowed 4 Falling Skies, right? So, I signed up to not have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I signed up to play Nomu, and well, to be fair, I signed up like weeks ago, and then like Thursday and Friday before the event, I started to get really antisocial, and I did not like how any of the decks I tried were performing. And so I signed up Nomu, and I knew at that point I wasn't going to have fun. So I didn't want to like make content and be like, oh, this event sucked. I got committed by Dragon Impact and lost. Like,
Yeah,
I knew what I was
fair.
getting into. Did you end up playing in the winter warm up?
Yes. Me and a couple of my teammates worked on a Ryukyu list together. We just really wanted to like show like the power of that character. He actually did pretty okay. He only dropped out of contention in round like 6. I got blasted by an edge shot round 1. Like round 1, it was edge shot, and
Was
that
it
guy had
Barlow?
every single. No, it wasn't Barlow. It was not one of the ones that topped. He did like pretty well. But he had every tech piece in the deck. Obviously, edge shot
Right.
can run them all on several symbols. So
Yeah, my deck was teched probably heavier than it would have normally been. I was at like 3 learning the standards. I was at 2 vast strength main board, which remove foundations for 5-hander is usually not what you're really looking for. um, especially if they're not like gaining you life or actually reducing damage. But I narrowly beat Ryukyu round one. I was playing against TC Devertanian. Hopefully, I got that
Nice.
name right. And I was like, great, a Nomu player who would understand Nomu things playing like Ryukyu. And he's like, yeah, I'm not playing Nomu against Ryukyu. And then I talked to Jacob Monsieur at the last minute, also that Nomu guy. And he was like, why not just play Dragon Lady? I'm like, this is not good. All the Nomu players are on the Dragon Lady. And she commits me and beats my ass.
Yeah, that card is pretty bad against, or pretty bad for you, yeah.
Yeah, so I just told myself if I prepare for this matchup, I won't fight it.
Yeah, fair. And like I heard you post in Discord that like they never found impact, right? Like they just couldn't
Yes.
find the UR.
Yeah, they played a bunch of attacks and none of them were Dragon Impact. At least in
Hell
the
yeah,
games
they
that I
deserve
won.
it. They deserved to lose against the character that all they had to do was commit them.
Yeah. Well, and so when I played against Jose later, who did beat me, he didn't even commit my character that much. It was just that he actually had like the draw stack. So like PC's version was more teched out, less straightforward, and he was talking about how a lot of people haven't really labbed Ryukyu. They're just like focused on the ridiculous, powerful stuff she could do. Um, and then Jose's version was a rough draft focused only on the ridiculous, powerful stuff she can do. And it's the one
Yeah.
that won the event. And so I really liked the idea at first, but I also thought to myself while we were talking about it, I was like, I mean, every time I try to get fancy with it, it gets worse. You know?
Yeah, super fair. Yeah. You really have to just realize that like 24 slots of the deck are locked and the other ones should probably be spam foundations or something that extends your turn.
I think right now it's way closer to like 32 are locked. I think
Yeah.
Talented Baker putting when I played against the Earth version even with George Zhang playing it, like he had triple Talented Baker out because he's playing like more defensively and he drew through his deck really fast and he like sculpted to get Bakers and then I can't even block Dragon Impact. Normally that's like everyone's like, oh, it's 2 speed, that's like the free block, and it's like not if you build the deck correctly.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Like you run things like that. Jose picked up from Andrew took credit for this. I'm going to call out Andrew Holder right now. He took credit for pass through walls because he watched my video. He told me this last night. Pass through walls was my idea, Andrew, not yours.
But so you're the reason my tracking devices are getting canceled out here.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
All day I was getting Andrew Holder tagging me in messages by Jose talking about every time he canceled a tracking device because people watched my content.
No, that was my idea, not theirs.
That's so funny. I'm a big fan of the tracking device, and I think it does deserve like a slot in a deck where you're trying to check and draw intermittently like that. And especially like, I don't know, the pace at which she gets to play the game, like being down a foundation turn 2 just isn't that big a deal with a card like Travis for her. Because she can actually, mess with the top card of the deck. But hearing Jose cancel them with a 6-check, like just Lamau tracking device, I was like, come on now.
Oh yeah, every single time I built, like there was 2 games where I built a pass through walls and an advice for winners after my opponent built twisty surroundings. Best feeling in the world. Like they pause. Can you read that card for me? Like yeah, I sure can.
I want to jam award the victor at 4x in a deck somewhere just because somebody is gonna mess up a check hack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody is going to immediately jump to a response. And then I'm going to say, okay, I'll recheck it. And then one of two things are going to happen. Either they're going to say something along the lines of, oh, well, you actually had first response, so I won't do that. And you're going to go, no, that's not how this works. Or 2, they're going to go, oh, well, I hacked the check. This is still the check. And you're going to go, no, not how that works.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's the kind of interactions I want to have. It also, speaking of check bonuses and check hacks, Pass Through Walls was also massive at shutting down Twisty Surroundings, which is a card everyone I've talked to playing it played it at a 4 of.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was the best. Every single time my opponent built it, I had that card in my stage, and they asked me, "Hey, can you read me that one? What's the wording on that?" I was like, "The wording is that like get fucked, dude. Like that's the wording."
You can either stun 2 or discard a card. It's
Yeah,
the haunting of Shinso is what it is.
yeah,
Like the amount of times that in testing I went to hack Ryukyu's check and she's like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll just play another one. Like you hack the Dragon Impact, they pay for it because it's worth it, right? It's worth committing to. But any other attack you try to hack the check on, they're like, okay, I'll fail it and then play the exact same attack.
yeah, absolutely. She just had like too much tech. Tim Keefe even put me on siding Eyes of the Tiger against Barrier Shield.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. She's like the all symbol's been waiting for a character who can just afford wacky stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Which I always thought would be Momo. I always thought all Momo would come out of nowhere because they would just print like crazy weapons. They like all like weapon foundations have pretty much always been like an all symbol thing, I think. And then Order, Fire, and Void kind of get to hang out. Maybe like some air splash, like a tiny bit of air on the weapon foundation thing. So I figured at some point, you know, probably not like it'd be a Stain-esque kit. I don't think it'll be like Stain cards. But I figured we'd get that. But it just hasn't happened yet. So you're still pretty much looking at like either some really weird gimmick deck for the all symbol or like Eraserhead or Eraserhead 2, I think. Eraserhead 2 got to finals,
I
right?
read red shoes, yeah, and on the all symbol, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so but that's the only other thing that the all symbol has had going for it since day one or like week 2, I guess, for the plus ultra pack cards is Capture Evil Doers. Is like what I thought I thought that was gonna be like the drama of the podcast, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I don't want to start with it, but there's definitely one topic I think a lot of people are kind of waiting for, so we're gonna milk it. But the Capture Evil Doers ban list finally came out, and does it not feel like it was just 1 month too late?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In their own article, the Chamber mentions this in his video as well. In their own article, they write that they knew that something had to be done after nationals. So like, why? Right? Why did we
Right.
skip a month on a ban list if you knew after nationals?
Yeah, I like the article that we got in November was basically just saying like, look, every Ryukyu deck might just flame out. You
Yeah,
know, like they
yeah,
were basically just saying, well, it hasn't officially done. It's like it's weird. It's like it has to actually commit a crime. Like a card, it's like the cop is sitting there watching you, and he's like, well, I can't arrest you until you've actually committed the crime. Right? The cop's not going to
yeah,
stop you.
absolutely.
You know, the Universe's Games is not going to stop Capture Evil Doers and Ryukyu from ruining an event. But once they do, they get the ban hammer.
Absolutely. That is 100% what it felt like.
You know, and I can get it if they really didn't have the data, right? Or if they really didn't have like you said, like if they really didn't know whether or not it was going to perform, because there has been in the past there has been people trying to raise the alarm about certain decks, especially like pre MHA. And MHA, I think we've actually had a much easier time identifying like crazy stuff. And there's always going to be like, I don't know, lunatics in public masses who espouse some weird combo that they think is too good. You know, there are some really hot takes on cards that are too good out there, but it's just weird when everyone immediately pointed at this interaction, and it did not feel like even the normal like naysayers acting like, oh, it's not busted. People just need to adapt. Like, even the people who normally are like that were just like, no, this is too far. And the closest you got was people trying to say whether or not Ryukyu herself, like the character herself, was too good or not. You had people split on that. But Capture Evil Doers was on everyone's radar.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like even again, harken back to their own article. Something I wanted to mention in my video, I just forgot. They specifically say the line, "We watched, and it wasn't pushing out characters like Tamaki Amajiki." That's
Oof.
specifically what they say. It wasn't. David Toombs splattered an Amajiki in round one of Top Cuts at Nationals. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Of course, they're not going to enhance and remove the momentum. It doesn't matter. I don't need to do that when I take 3 turns against this 19 health character.
Yeah. Also, I remember reading that and thinking Amajiki is such a bad example.
Yes.
Because Amajiki, there's two things about Amajiki that make him not like other momentum characters, and specifically, Amajiki is not the type of deck that Capture Evil Doers pushes out of a format. The two things that you look for when it comes to Capture Evil Doers punishing it is decks that generate fast momentum. Decks that are going to make one momentum right now and we need it for something. Like Home
Yeah.
Run Comet. Like Home Run Comet is probably the best example of like a deck or of like a card that is like how do I put it? It like proved that Capture Evil Doers wasn't that busted. Right? It was like the thing that was like, okay, well if Capture was busted, it would counter Home Run Comet from like the one momentum you get. Because it was so important to Jiro strategies.
Yeah, for sure. Like back in set 1, we were using that card for that purpose, right? I remember jamming after Kirishima 1 got the axe. I moved over to All Might 3, and like that matchup was like a 0 out of 100 for me. All Might versus Jiro. I just could not do it. So I asked on Discord, what are y'all doing against this character? Everybody told me just Capture Evildoer her. And then a couple months later, we all realized, why am I not just taking 3 turns instead of like taking her one momentum? Like,
Right. Well, because what used to happen is you used to have to say, okay, I'm going to take my momentum at the end of the turn, and then they need to draw two of them because they have to draw one to steal it and one to
and
take the
then
extra
one to
turn.
form. Yeah.
And it happened like 90% of the time. Like if you watched a game on stream and a commentator would curse it every time by going, well, these are one of the three symbols you can't take momentum against. And the other commentator would go, oh, there it is. There's the Capture Evil Doers, but well, let's see if they've got a second one. And then of course they'd play another attack and then form and they're like, yep, they between Valiant Assault and Back Alley, they sure had it. And so now we've got Rejuvenating on there. Like it's it's not even just the Ryukyu deck, right? It's the Mirio Good Punches deck. And so uh yeah, it was just like before you needed two of them and your opponent had to take the momentum to give you the fast momentum. And now Rejuvenating Smash just does it
It's just
for you.
paying it
Phantom
for you.
Threat just does it
Yep.
for you. Characters, Ryukyu just does it, right? So the but so the thing that so Capture Evil Doers, like you said, it's not the momentum sniping because Amajiki doesn't get fast momentum that often. Those decks aren't
Yep.
built around that, and they're not built around having one really important momentum for one specific thing, like a Sound Waves or like the home run that tutors it and immediately spends it. And what's the other one example? Even Rejuvenating Smash decks, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
it's not unusual for them to generate exactly one momentum and then put it on like either itself or a back alley or a repeated 100% like later in a turn, and like those decks aren't relying on them. Decks like All Might 3 like rely on like having like one momentum to like fuel their card advantage.
Absolutely.
Um by the end of like turn 3, like Amajiki has 5 momentum, and you sniping his one face up jolt is not gonna push him out of the format.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
You getting one free momentum off Rejuvenating to use it to play 4 more attacks,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
pushes Amajiki out of the format.
yeah. That'll sure push a 20 health character right out. If you can count to 35 through several responses of I'm only taking 6, I promise you, Mirio counted to 20 very consistently.
Yeah, like there was just I don't know, there's so many characters that people were like, "Oh, well, yeah, do you really want to play this strategy like meteor shower decks?" It pushes meteor shower decks out, which I guess theoretically Amajiki's could or should be playing. I'm not a big meteor shower fan.
Same.
I don't know, 4 high 5 that doesn't do anything when I play it just doesn't feel super great.
Yeah, turn 2 feels horrible if you don't immediately see it in your discard pile.
Yeah, like I was playing it because it like is the only extension Denki had. But anyways, I feel like it's a Denki 1 attack, and that's about it. And I don't even know if he'd play it now. The meat and bones of the Capture Evil Doers discussion, I think, is does this set the precedent that every single card and every single combination is due? They're legally, they have the right to one event before they get banned.
Yeah. I feel that they've just, and I feel like that's a horrible precedent, right? Especially in our community. I don't know if you think the same thing. I found in this community more than any other card game, there's like so many people that refuse to play the cringe, right? It was even kind of surprising to see Jose Narono jam Ryukyu instead of just getting 25 applause counters and killing people throwing in hands.
I mean, I think if it wasn't for Ryuki being as crazy as she is, that might have been the case. And I think he might have started with the Jiro deck, trying to get capture banned that way, and just realized Ryukyu is that much easier.
Yeah, fair.
But that's the other thing is if capture didn't win, if it got second place or if it just wasn't in the finals, do you think they still would have banned it?
I don't think so. I honestly fully believe the meme that the only reason they banned it to begin with, even with 2 finalists, is the fact that it made game 2 last too long. I truly believe that Ryukyu couldn't 2-0 him because Patrick drew 4 Capture Evildoers. Yeah, let's cut it.
It's wild. Yeah, it just seems very strange because it seemed very obvious to me that if it did win the event, it was going to get banned. Only because it was just so unanimous, and people would have actually, I don't know, gone crazy. Like people would have been actually really, I want to say, spoiled about it.
Yeah, the pitchforks would have come out in Discord for sure.
Yeah, like toxic's not even like the right word because I don't even think people would be toxic about it. They would just be really vocal. You know, they would just be really obnoxious about it. And so it just seems weird that it was like so clearly on the watch list and it just had to have its day in the sun. It had to exist and actually happen once. And yet cards like Ready, Get, Set, Go got pre-banned. Card like Back Alley Haymaker is one that kind of in the same boat, right? Both of these cards, Capture and Back Alley, felt like, why now? Why was it banned now instead of the whole time people were upset about it? Because at one point, Capture Evildoers was not a power level ban. This now was a power level ban. But previously, people wanted Capture ban not for the power level, but for health of the format.
Yeah, absolutely. They mentioned that as well. We knew that it created a negative play experience, which I think is a horrible thing to say. We knew that y'all didn't like it. We knew you guys were having a bad time. We just didn't care. It's a little rough.
It's definitely one of those things that doesn't come out the way you meant it.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely one of those things where, I don't know, it I always see it happen to people who are like in like a new relationship. Or like, have you ever like been on like a double date and like, you're like the more established couple, you're like comfortable with each other, and you're like double dating with like your friends who are now dating or something, right? And like there's always a moment where one of them like says something as a compliment and it's just not received that way.
Yeah.
It feels like the article was like, no, we're on your side, like we were with you guys the whole time. We just
Yeah.
had the power to do something about it, but we didn't know what yet.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a pretty binary option, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like there were such easy bans. Like you mentioned, Ready Get Set Go. Like I feel like that card was a problem in like the set 2 format, right? When it first came out, we saw Asui 1 absolutely ruining lives with that card. I'm gonna build 14 on turn 1, and then guaranteed you're just dead next turn.
A
And I feel
huge
the
part,
same happened to Back Alley Haymaker. Like
huge
Stun
part of
2 is
Momo's
irrelevant
success.
now with like all the stun hate.
Yeah, a huge part of Momo's success was Ready, Get, Set, Go. I have to believe, even if it's not something that you got to pull off the response on a lot of the time, for a character like that, an optional +1 high block that you can safely hold and then form away is just a big deal.
Absolutely.
And so it just, that one seemed like a weird preemptive ban. Back alley and capture seems like it took too long, and I think this is I don't want to be negative and dwell on stuff like this, but I do think it's a good topic because I really feel like they wait until a card has like no impact on the market before they ban it.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Andrew and a bunch of the others have been talking that the reason that they didn't ban it in November was because of selling Jetburn, right? Like Ryukyu is popular. We hear about it in our Discord, so we want people to want Ryukyu cards, and it's hard to not believe that when you say in your own article that we knew it was a problem at Nationals.
Right. Yeah, we need Dragon Impact to have value on day one, even though it's
Yep.
the race to the bottom and people are selling Dragon Impacts for $5.
Yeah.
They needed Ready, Get, Set, Go to be a valuable, worthwhile card until it finally, like you said, it stopped being so overbearing and people were starting to not put it in decks. And it's the minute people stop putting a card in a deck is when they ban it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
The Ojiro decks were on symbol for it, and we're just like, yeah, it's like not even worth it going second, which is how Ojiro's messed up, by the way.
Yes,
That's a huge red
really.
flag. When a character's like, I'm going to go second, and I don't need any of the going second cards, which we've printed like 2 of in the entirety of MHA.
And like he was like the funniest part about Ready Get Set Go being banned is like it was banned when he was like turn 2ing people, right? And all people were doing, and I say people, but I really just mean Chris Bromley. Chris Bromley was just trying to survive Ojiro's turn 2 with that card, and you're like, nah, we don't want that to happen.
Right, like it's so weird, and so what the common theme, and this is it's so weird that. The reason Back Alley supposedly got this ban was that it spiked back up in usage, right? And I don't remember. I should have brought up the article right before the podcast because I knew it was going to come up. But it's weird to me because we were finally starting to see decks that don't run Back Alley on this. People were finally starting to have discussion, and I know Let's Talk UVS is pretty vocal about it just not really being worth it in Mirio. And like you said, with all this stun hate, like it just became a less popular option. And yet now it caught the ban list because its usage was spiking.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. They said the second closest card was it can't be fixed, and it still beat it by like 145 copies or something.
Right,
like,
which people
you're talking about the card that builds in that 0 diff.
Well, people have started to split up their stun hate because now Good Symbol has all these good stun hate options.
Absolutely, keeping Ares safe. The new new Danky zero diff is insane.
Surprising skill, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like now, instead of playing 4 it can't be fixed, I'm playing 2 it can't be fixed, 2 saving Harry, and 2 surprising skill because they all actually do something different and have their own pros and cons and block zones.
Yeah, yeah. Even like Ryu, harkening back to Ryukyu here, I took it can't be fixed out. It can't be fixed was initially in my Ryukyu deck. The very first time it can't be fixed built down Dragon Impact into my staging area. I was like, nope, I'm cutting this card forever. I'm never going to build the ultra rare ever again.
Yeah, Jacob Monsieur for Nomu, I thought it was strange at first. I played the deck and I'm like, oh, it makes sense. He sided out. He only had a can't be fixed in the sideboard because he built out so much, right? And I ended up maining them just because I needed high blocks. I actually just needed high blocks. So I put like 2 in the main, and it gave me more back alley targets, which I didn't hate. But I was also playing Saving Bakugo to like defend against Dragon Strike, right? So I had like way different zeros going on than just quick to act. But that's like the biggest thing was back alley Haymaker building quick to act turns it into like a hell spider.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's so many games where you're never gonna get Nomu from like 25 to 0. You know, you pretty much always got to put him close to the quick to act number at least. And once back alley starts building quick to act, which I'm sure has also jumped up massively in use stuff, like I don't know, it seemed very weird that we were finally getting to a point where people could make the claim that it's not a guaranteed staple, and then it did really well at like 2 events again when it's the staple, right? And now it's not that it feels like it's not that back alley is being registered more than ever. It's that foundations have more diversity than ever.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was a super weird ban. I am of the belief that they only banned that card because they didn't want us to believe that the entire ban list was like community solved. I truly believe that they could not just ban capture evildoers because they did not want you to think that they were pushed to just ban capture evildoers.
Yeah, and
back alley was like the easiest target.
For what it's worth, as someone who played 4 back alley, Haymaker, and Nomu over the weekend as my only non-high attack, strictly because it builds quick to act and saving Bakugo in this case. Like Jacob Monsieur is like most of the Nomu versions, their only 0 was quick to act. They're drawing a card 90% of the time. And so just as like a cantrip 5 diff with stun 2, and you know, I'm glad to see it gone. It's just I guess what I want to focus on is I keep getting away from specifically the subject of the community en masse in social media, which isn't everybody, right? It's just a small pocket basically. But if you looked on Facebook, when people asked what's going to get banned, the vast majority of people said nothing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the vast majority of responses I saw were actually nothing, and it's because they figured if you were going to ban capture evil doers, you didn't need to see it in a tournament environment to know what was going to happen.
Yep, absolutely. Especially at like what 150 person event. Like this isn't even close to your big events. Like
yeah. So if there's anything I've learned, it's that if you truly think a card is a problem, you should play it, win with it, and then tell everyone that nothing is getting banned next. Because that is the formula that works. That's how Ready Get Set Go got banned.
Yeah,
win a bunch of stuff with it, and then don't think it's going to get banned, and it'll get banned. Like it, yeah. It was a weird one. I'm glad it was more than capture. And if it's just solely to, I don't know, bury the lead on it being like you said, like they don't want to act like if you complain enough they'll ban something. But I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, for sure. I am definitely glad it's gone, right? Like the card did do too much. Like it was just a little bit too pushed. It was both your best opener and sometimes your best closer. It's like, oh, you're at 5 health and I have 3 momentum. Maybe this just ends your life. I don't know.
The actual most obnoxious gameplay loop pre-capture evil doers going crazy for me was open back alley, stun you. Because you're stunned, you're gonna check a 3, and then I'm gonna hit you with either back alley or the next move, right?
Yeah.
And then you get like your opponent commits out to hit you 3 times. They put you at 15 life, whatever, right? I'm a 7-hander guy, so I'm at like 10 life because I got hit once. I'm at like sub 10 health. You have 2 momentum, and then the very next turn you play attack, back alley, 8 speed.
Yep, absolutely.
Attack Texas back alley, and the back alley is a 9/9.
Yeah, yep.
That was like such a common string. It was so obvious. It was like the exact example of player one advantage for like a year for me.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. All of the back alley sympathizers from like the set 2, set 3 format were always like, well, it's just like a really good opener. I was like, do your back alleys not have EX2 printed on them? Like, what are we talking about here?
Did your back alley not get you the momentum for your next back alley?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you not choose to put speed? Yeah, and now we just have decks that are like trying so hard to pile on speed from their stage because getting big damage isn't difficult. Yeah, it was a weird one. I'm happy with it. I'm satisfied with it, but it really makes me wonder what does it actually take? What is the next card that's gonna be previewed, gonna come out, and day one, before the cards ever even hit the shelves, we're watching someone on YouTube do somersaults with these cards, and we're like, okay, well, we know how the very next official event is gonna go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I honestly don't know what it takes because like we've seen things like Unwavering Slash get like 1 year preemptively banned, right? Like we're working on this card from 1 year from today, but no, let's just ban it now.
Truly, what was the asset they were worried about? Young Heroes? Is that the one? Is it Young Heroes that was like, dude, no shot you can build this for free unless you're Momo?
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I don't know if she has a Young Hero symbol. No, Young Heroes is life, right? I played it in Muscular.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I mean, the Momo players have been out here eating so good, and like no one's taking advantage of it because Nathan DeWalt got teased about playing only one character, so he picked the other character with -2 speed that tutors blocks. People?
Yeah, the other character that refuses to kill anybody ever. Yep.
Yeah, the other character that tutors blocks and reduces speed. God bless. Which, I mean, to be fair, I wish I played those characters as good as him. That's not shade, but
oh yeah, no, same.
I really
several times.
He really is a player after my own heart with how much he wants to block literally everything. I made an entire deck that got banned for no good reason in Retro that literally just looped the block the same way Momo would, and why she's banned in Retro. And like so when it comes to blocking literally everything, I'm here for it. You're just not allowed to do that in MHA.
Yeah, you definitely are not.
I think that where we are with the format right now, there is a good amount of speed hate. And I think there are decks that can do a lot of chain blocking that's going to be really frustrating to get through. But I also think that if you actually pack your deck with interaction, you're going to steamroll them early game more often than not.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely leaning way more aggressive than it is like control. And even like Ryukyu, a player could just decide to jam a 65 card Ryukyu deck. When I find the blank one, I'm just looping it, right? We have Incredible Display to just loop the 0 diff and draw infinite blocks. But why do I do that when I can just turn to you?
Right. And then Incredible Display is also on the change the zone to high symbol.
Yeah, yep.
It also has, I think there's technically 2 cards that do. I think you can do it with infinite potential, but nobody plays that card because it's only get to do it once, but there's the e-commit, I think it's quirk expertise, where it's like,
Yeah.
you're just like, actually, you can eat this Airy Smiles.
Yes.
Like, you can actually hold all of my action blocks now that we can change the zone to high, like, every turn. Um,
Absolutely.
and so I would be excited to see some strategies like that come around. I definitely struggled in the Nomu mirror because my opponent had twisty surroundings and they weren't drawing attacks, so I had momentum and they didn't. They had quirk expertise like all game. And so I was just thinking, like, I don't get to actually play this like cute mini game. So it was actually very interesting to see like this card just sitting here chilling, like basically taking away the drawback of Twisty. And those are like the cool games I want to see. I want to see the ones where the text on the card matters. I'm
Yeah,
so
for
tired
sure.
of numbers.
Absolutely. No, I very much agree. Most of the game is just like stat sticks right now.
Yeah, Jetburn in general, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single six hand size character.
Even headshot, even the seven hander is just zero
Yes.
stats. Just every attack you play gets 1/1, right? Like that's like
Absolutely.
the end game status of that deck is every time you play an attack it should get 1/1. Or
Yep. Yep.
like increasing 1/1. So yeah, which I'm not surprised Edgeshot did well. Really
Yeah.
not. I was very high on that deck, and it was Barlow, right? Who
Yep.
topped with it?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, not surprised to see him doing well right after doing well at nationals, and similar to Tokoyami, like Edgeshot's a character that has like this surprisingly good defense, but can also just pop off on you. Um, and so I was not surprised at all. I was very much expecting Edgeshot to be really good. I just thought it would take like one or two iterations, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like somebody like really solving the deck. He's on like super good symbols, like at least was for this particular event as well, right?
Void
Really,
is great
really
right
good
now,
symbols
yeah.
that stop Ryukyu and like the other decks that are just trying to play 7 moves against you. So
Yeah, learning. I think even at learning the standards, which in a seven hander is like ballsy.
yeah, yeah, I'm gonna take 10 and I hope you stop attacking me.
Yeah, it's like the spooky when your opponent, like when you spooky an attack and they put it to 1 damage, and you're just like, that's what I wanted you to do. You got to watch out for that play, by the way. If they spooky your attack to 0 and they have a learning, just let it deal 0.
yeah, yeah,
Just
absolutely.
or it doesn't deal. I guess I should say, but yeah, just send it for 0. Like, don't walk into that. It's such a cute little trap that like you should not actually fall for, like in person. On webcam maybe, right? You got the peripheral,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, the I think the format is in like a really interesting place. I think there is the opportunity for really cool and interesting decks to do their thing. Now that like they're not worried about getting super exploded on turn 2, like again, like no matter what you do, if your opponent refuses to not check fives and they drew capture evil doers and they drew momentum generation, like you're just
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I said it in like our video. Like, I actually do believe that the format opens up quite a lot. And it's gonna. I feel like we're gonna maybe even see some funny things, right? Like back alley's gone, remove all your stun hate, and then like Todoroki 2 just comes in to ruin your life.
hey, we saw Sato 1 do good. Like, come
Yep.
on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Snack time. Oh, you know what my pet deck going into the next set is? Uh explosive was it snack time plus explosive rebuke.
Oh hell yeah! That's the deck
Yeah.
that I'm playing. I'm playing Bakugo 4. That explosive rebuke is so underrated. That card is nuts.
Yeah, if you give it a second instance of stun 1, you can flip for
Yeah.
stun 4. Like, let's go. So
Yeah.
that's the cute stuff I'm looking for to be like, okay, stun wasn't positioned very good in the format, but like, can you handle stun 4, right? Can you handle like one attack pumping up? And we saw Sato do really good into a supposedly anti-stun kind of a format. And I mean, most of so many of these decks were playing Back Alley Haymaker, but I'm really happy that people immediately were like, "Oh, well, Overhaul's going to come back," but I think Back Alley Haymaker hit that character just hard enough for it to matter without making him useless.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. People were like, "Oh, it only hurts the life deck." I was like, "He was running this on Earth too, guys." Like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, both
The
builds got severely punished.
yeah, the Earth version has like great zeros, just like the Life version has, but the Earth version struggles with card draw more, and
Yeah,
so the Life version it hurts the Life version as much or maybe more just because of the loss of repeated synergy. Um, but I think you can cheat progressive in other ways now.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. So yeah, overall, I feel is like on the back burner. They killed my poor All Might 3. He'll never return.
Just play Air All Might 3. Come on.
Yeah, Furies, Furies.
Come on. Play Brutish Swagger. Just play
Yeah,
British Swagger on all.
yes.
Come on, you should be playing all anyways for Chivalrous Competitor because that's really cute.
Hey, they're at Pasadena. This last Pasadena run, there was only one good All Might 3 in tops and three All Might 3s. Y'all died. I lived. The good All Might 3 survived.
That's fair actually, because that was a weird tournament. That
Yeah, no,
was
the
a weird.
format's very open for sure. So that's a good thing. Capture was a much needed change.
Yeah, I think that was really good. I don't think there's no realistic outliers. I mean, I've been vocal about how I would just snipe so many things, but they placated people like me by announcing rotation and a return to standard. So I'm
Yeah,
like, I can't really rail against most of the cards I would mess with because they're either a set one card that we now know is rotating eventually, or it's a card that really only matters with set one accompanying it. Especially now back alley's gone, right? So like the huge outlier from like set two, the outliers from set three have been dealt with. So like every set has basically had like something from it that was like, come on, this is too much. And you
yeah, for
usually had
sure.
to wait. Yeah, you usually had to wait for like a new release to uh get to shift focus. But I think that I think that we're gonna see like really weird decks. Like you're gonna see a bunch of like value piles, I think, come through and just kind of beat the synergistic decks that were like, oh, we're all on like one keyword, or we all have like a card pool stuffing, kind of synergy. I think we're just gonna see like a return to sort of like the life good stuff. But life
Yeah,
good stuff doesn't have back alley anymore, so I think it'll look more fair than it is.
yeah, no, I very much agree. We'll like we're already seeing like you said, Sato. I saw a ton of Fury builds. Like people are like going back to like their old stuff even before the ban because that's how this
Yeah.
community works. And now those decks might actually see real success. So
Yeah, if Amajiki comes back with a force because he can survive turn two, he's got so many cool tools. He's got so much like new, interesting stuff he can do. He can ask really weird questions with some of the jet burn attacks.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
the water version is just like out there.
Yeah, and he gained that new Asui throw as well, right? Which like that's like something for him. There's like a lot of different things that can go around. I feel Asui 3 will finally like see like representation that characters like nuts in a format that doesn't just turn to you.
Yeah, that was the character. That's actually the deck I was originally gonna play. Um,
Nice.
None of the decks I tested on stream felt very good. I could not get an iteration going where I felt like I was like making progress. I hit up Tamron Cardwell for his deck list, and I was like so far as going to ask people to borrow the cards. Like the Falling Skies I borrowed were actually originally for Asui 3. Um, and then Thursday, I think it was Thursday night or Thursday, either Wednesday night, Thursday night. I was helping my friend test Nomu, and I went like 0 and 10 into Nomu because dealing 3 damage to Nomu doesn't matter how many
Yeah, it
applause
sure
counters I
does
get.
not.
And I had good speed hate, but I didn't have great speed hate. And he's got seizing, and he's got back alley, and like the EX, and the 10 high 10 gravity rush, and like I was just like, I can't deal with a 14 high 14. And I thought to myself, I'm like, how many decks can?
Yeah, yeah, fair.
The first tournament of a set, how many decks are going to be playing their resets like they should? The
Yeah,
answer
yeah, they're
was,
trying to go full aggro, no defense.
yeah, it turns out Mirio has it on his face.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I didn't even think about Falling Skies Nomu. I thought Falling Skies is one of my favorite cards from this set. I've built like a Cementos Falling Skies deck. I've built so many decks. I never thought of the fact that Nomu can say, yeah, plus X, and now I'll give it throw. Like,
Well,
that's crazy.
you can't do that. They
Oh, that's the
explicitly,
first enhance, right?
yeah, they
Okay, perfect.
explicitly made it a first enhance because it has a Nomu symbol.
Okay, that's good. That makes me feel a lot better
Yeah.
about that card.
However, Nomu has never had a +3 speed, +3 damage move before.
Yeah, and on a 4 diff, like
Yeah. And he's never had an attack that he can decide is a throw. And it is surprisingly extremely useful on turns 1 and turns 2 to go, here's just a 6 damage throw, 4 diff, low impact, like low risk poke, give it 1/1. I get a momentum. I can now EX for back alley next turn, and all of a sudden
yeah,
6 speed is enough.
super fair. Like the OG Nomu lists were trying to like 4x to throw, right? Like let's just get some value, some advantage somewhere.
Oh, true. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
You got to get
a
some set up.
really, really good one.
Yeah, yeah, so it turned out to just be like really handy to have like a good solid poke. There were times where people got down to 3 life, and I'm like, okay, well, I can commit Nomu to pass this check, and they're like not expecting stuff like that. Um, just super versatile. +1 low block, which the deck is chock full of low blocks, but not all of them are +1s. So didn't feel bad to hold. That's the card I expect to. That's the new repeated, right? Like now that Ryukyu's out of the way.
Absolutely. And like Evildoers got cut, so like Fierce Wings is going to be like less valuable for most people.
Yeah,
It's like
there's
the card they were picking up.
I just realized you could play mono high Ryukyu with Falling Skies on Earth. You swap out the low for the Air Force Blast, and you have the same attack ratio.
Yeah.
And it's like, as you're not capture evildoers, you're not clearing your card pool, so when you play 6 attacks, you'll have 3 in your card pool.
yeah, exactly.
And you can Falling Skies on a 7 and just be like, yeah, this is a 7 high for 9, like, and sometimes it's a throw.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Like, that's not pretty quality stuff. I think it also replaces the low block. I think the low attack is the low block, right?
Yep, sure is.
Yeah, so you get, you get +1 high draw. You have 3 +1 high draw cards, and now you still have a +1 mid and a +1 low. Gee. That character is still going to be good if people actually want to play her, but because she's not like disgusting over the top, people are not going to care.
Yep, 100%. We see the same thing happen all the time. I feel Kirishima 2 is like still pretty playable, but like we gave up on that guy immediately.
Yeah, and I mean, Ojiro 2 still has some of the better damage pump, and the commit cost is like a little rough, but that's the main thing, right? They didn't hit Ryukyu herself.
Yeah, nope, sure did not. Like that's why I wanted to see them ban it in November, right? I wanted to see Capture it hit November. That way you could see this event play out with like the actual Ryukyu fans and just see like what that character is capable of without the card that allows her to take 3 turns.
I would have certainly have liked to not play against Mirios with it, because I think that character is still disgusting. I still think that deck needed to be hit. I guess Capture Evildoers hits it. I don't know how much it hits I don't know how much it hits it overall because good is pretty much the only symbol we've really seen Mirio have success with, and they've pretty much have all been doing some momentum shenanigans. Even if it's not strictly capture evil doers and like rejuvenating, they've done like BMI busters and like velocity punch, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and like Mirio still has like his SR, right? So he's still guaranteed clearing one from his card pool. Like he
yep.
can still easily just get there.
I thought to myself, what if the Mirio decks and the Ryukyu decks just start playing Heroic Clash and see like the same level of success?
That would be great. Just like force clear your card pool. I'm in.
Yeah, like at least having the risk of a one check in your deck has to be some kind of payoff, right?
Yeah.
In practice, if you build the deck around the one, I don't know how true that is. But there's definitely some. I got sauced on by Endeavor 3 playing it because he would remove it from the game and then yank it back.
I've seen that list. That deck is sick.
Yeah, so like I'm down for like some cool stuff like that. I just don't know if you can win a tournament with random one checks in your deck.
Yeah, fair.
Man, I was having so much fun talking about other stuff, and I really wanted to get it out of the way sooner, but I did not get around to it. But I guess we got to address the elephant in the room because it happened last night. Some videos were posted, some stuff's been buzzing in the community. It's very funny. I was gonna actually record this with one of the judges from the warm up event, like on Tuesday, but it just didn't work out, and so it would have been a very different podcast. But the elephant in the room, in case somehow you haven't heard, is the I guess it's the demo team from Nationals. I've talked to some because this is what's weird is it's the demo team is not the people speaking up. The people the people speaking up trying to hold UVS games accountable are people who have platforms who want to go to bat for them, who have heard about these, don't feel it's right. So I think it's important to frame the discussion like that, right? Because it's no one from the demo team has really like come forward with anything, and I don't know what the extent of any of their conversations are, but there is like screenshots and things of the fact that apparently they got the compensation listed wrong. There was an agreement to the wrong amount, and now they're trying to basically pay people the intended amount, not the agreed upon amount, which is basically about a third of what was agreed upon. And man, it just seems so bad all around.
Yeah, it certainly does.
And I say so bad all around. I don't mean like everyone has egg on their face because obviously the people who went and demoed at the event, like they didn't do anything wrong. They got an offer. It sounded pretty good. They took it. It's not like a crazy amount, right? Like it's like $250 a day, which is not like an
Not anything
absurd.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good considering like if you compared it to like a regular hourly wage, it is very good. But you also have to consider, similar to like living in California and having like a higher minimum wage, you are paying people who are going to be forced to be at conventions and at
Yeah.
hotels,
Yep.
right? So if you want people who are going to be, we're like you have to take that into account when you do the stipend and things like that. You have to take into account the fact that they're missing work to come do this.
Yeah.
And so
So
when you
it took days off. Crazy.
yeah, so when you factor in stuff like that, like it's really not that crazy. It's a very nice deal, which I've been pretty happy with the deals I've had overall. I do think it'd be nicer if the bigger events had like a bigger payoff. I will say that, like some kind of bonus, just to make it feel more special on our end, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, super fair.
On the logistical side of it, it's all the same, right? Like on our side, like just because it's a nationals doesn't mean like it's harder work. Although it could be, they could do more stuff, but that's a different discussion. But I just want to get like your take on it as someone who is, like you said, like not worked that closely with them before and things like that. Because I have a skewed opinion, so I'm mostly gonna stay out of it. I'm also
Yeah.
waiting. I will say one thing: I am waiting on being paid from nationals. I will put that out there, and like solidarity with everyone else who is waiting for these things to get resolved. But I have not heard anything about anything changing, and I'm just kind of waiting patiently, Bill. And so I want to get your thoughts on the whole situation.
Yeah, for sure. They are not good. So yeah, of course, like it's already out there. You guys can find the screenshots. Like maybe Sam will link it to them or whatever. But the screenshots are out there. There was a mass email, not even a mass email. Turns out they were like individually emailed about this as well, about their compensation, what they were expected to do. And like that's like a legally binding thing now, right? A UVS Games employee sent you an email with a like a compensation form. This is exactly what we want you to do, and they did that, right? They went there. I heard that some of them worked like maybe 26 plus hours over the weekend, which like that's like a significant amount of time to just
More
be
than
sitting
eight
there
hours for
playing
3 days.
game. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty crazy. And like they actively like bettered your card game, right? Like at nationals, I saw so many people walk over from the demo table to Rochester. Yeah, I want to buy a box. I want to buy the starter decks. They actively helped you guys. I don't. I guess my biggest thing with this is I don't even understand why we're hearing about it. I don't know
Right.
why that this wasn't just fixed. Like
That I yeah, I'm glad you hit that on the head because um the idea, like, I don't know what the whole time frame is, right? And I can tell you that playing phone tag with people over money that they owe you is just never going to work out for you.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, I don't know how many times this has happened to anyone else out there, but I mean, this has happened as recently as October for my family, right? Not to get super personal, but my mother's brother passed away. She took his ashes back to their hometown to do the same ritual essentially that everyone in their family does. They all have, like, it's a family tradition to have your ashes laid in the same place. And she took PTO, paid time off for work for it. She came back, they told her like she's not getting paid for that time off. And you are never going to get anywhere by just continuing to talk to these people and ask them to pay.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
You can be patient and it may happen. Like, again, for example, my situation I feel is incredibly different from this. And I want to make that very clear that my situation has nothing to do with this, right? I'm only speaking on the information that we're getting from the demo team who agreed to one thing, and it turns out that that was a mistake and we got to fix it. And the easiest possible fix is to have just paid the people who never said anything about it.
Yep, yeah, 100%. Like you would not have this huge controversy right now, which like we're in an area that you've already had huge controversies, right? Over the last few months, your reputation has preceded you here. This is not like a very surprising development, but it was a very easy one to just completely avoid.
Yeah, I have definitely been in situations where I got a good deal. I something was really cool, really nice, whatever, volunteer compensation. This is not a UVS Games thing, by the way. I'm talking like, volunteering at baseball fields. I'm talking like gigs I've had with comedy shows here in Vegas. Like, talking all this stuff I've done, all my hobbies, all my interests. There's a point where people compensate you for doing something, and then the next time it's much worse. And you're like, hey, why is the payment less, or why do I get less this time? And they go, oh, well, we weren't really supposed to pay you that much the first time. That's really common. And every time it's ever happened to me, they just take the L on the first one. And then the next time they offer it to you, they're just very clear that, like, hey, you're actually only getting one show ticket. Like, I used to do a thing right at the theater. They give me 2 show tickets. And someone found out that they had 2 to give out to 2 volunteers, not 2 per volunteer. And so, we each got an extra ticket one time and that was it.
Yeah, like And this could have, like, me and a bunch of my team members were talking in my Discord last night. This could have given them the opposite effect if they had done that, right? This could have garnered you real positive feedback of your demoers coming into the Discord. Hey man, like UVS Games messed up our pay, but they still gave it to me anyway. So like definitely go be a demoer for them. They've got your back.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough if you say that. Hey, I got paid a good amount, and you won't. But at the same
Yeah,
time, you're
yep.
right. Though it'll be what people. Yeah, people. What'll happen is people will say there was an issue, but they took care of me.
Yes, yep, yeah, exactly. They have your back. Definitely, like I definitely recommend being a demoer, right? I definitely recommend signing up to staff their events.
Yeah, it's I obviously at some point, right? You can't just keep making money mistakes, right? Well, that's what we used to call them, at least. Like when I was a retail supervisor, we had different categories of mistakes, and the
Yeah,
the serious ones were the money mistakes. And so I get it. I definitely get it. It's not something you can just like willy nilly keep doing. It's obviously a big deal. It's whatever the scale of the money isn't really what's important though. The importance is, I mean, it's not like they put in like two extra zeros and are going to actually bankrupt the company by doing this, right? Like, I I can't imagine that if there's no shot it's more than like 5 grand that they would be out for the compensation that's been mentioned. And if that's the case, like, I mean, I don't know. It seems very weird. It seems so very weird that this is a point of contention. That this is like if
yeah,
someone in some departments got like a fund somewhere and they can't borrow from another department. They're like, I literally don't have the money to pay these people. That's the only thing I can think of.
yeah, and that's like that's bringing up a horrible conversation both on like their Facebook page, their Discord. I tagged Paul myself on Twitter about this. That's bringing up a horrible conversation of like, does this actually matter? If $5,000 matters this much to you, how good is the card game doing, right? Like,
Yeah, and I mean, again, you can't just be throwing money away. No one is saying like even if the company's doing well that they have money to throw
yeah,
down the
just
toilet.
throw at people. Yeah, absolutely.
But this is something that like it comes out of your PR budget. And if your
Yep.
company, and by the way, if you're a company owner and you don't have a PR budget, you should start making one because
Yeah.
it does cost money to fix bad PR.
Yep.
There's a lot of the old saying that any PR is good PR. Well, good PR costs money.
Yeah.
And so this is just the kind of thing that like this is what a PR budget covers. It covers oopsies sometimes. And it just it just seems weird. It just seems so weird. It doesn't make sense because if people were just getting their payments delayed, that would be something pretty normal. You didn't hear anything about that. No one's making a video going, I haven't been paid from nationals because I'm just waiting. That's
Yeah.
not, that's not a big deal when it comes to contracted work. I mean, geez, you should have seen if you do you know anyone who does construction like for
Yeah.
cities? Yeah, like
Yeah.
city construction, you're waiting months to get paid, but usually it's a steady enough job that you've got them like racked up, right? And
Absolutely.
you're usually getting paid enough of a lump sum that it tides you over.
Yeah.
This is a gig for your hobby that if they didn't pay us this money, we couldn't do.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, this
And
is
like even like
not
the
the
people that took days off, like that got cut from your rent potentially, right? Like
yes,
you're assuming that these people just had the money just sitting there, not you, but like UVS Games. You're assuming that the people like, oh no, you're fine, you don't need this. You were just doing this for fun. No, I certainly was not. I took the weekend off for it.
yeah. And again, it's not something that you see very often. It's not something that usually when you see this is like from a huge company that has no real interest in customer retention, like Walmart wouldn't give you the refund on this, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, if Walmart was, accidentally hired you at the wrong pay rate, they won't pay you what you
Nope, nope.
signed
Just
up
eat it.
for.
You get to take the L.
Yeah, because they know that you're not willing to go to small claims court over it, and that is something that contractors deal with all the time. Usually they win once it actually goes to court, but it is so much of a process to go to court in the first place that companies can basically extend it as long as they want.
Yep.
And if you do take them to court, you're never getting hired again.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, like that's a huge thing, right? And like that's where that is where I think it's probably the reason it happened, and a good thing that like it wasn't by the demoers, right? The videos
Right.
weren't released by the demoers. They're not trying to just ruin their relationship with UVS games, and I understand that. I'm very down to ruin my reputation with UVS games, so I've got their back.
I'm not. I've spent a lot of time repairing it. So like if there's anyone I think who has proven that they are, willing to do what it takes to keep that open, it's me, but even I have my limits. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
I can, I guess, humbly say I can be humbled to that. I probably need it more than anyone, at least for just the people I've interacted with. And yet I still know that like I made a video saying like, oh hey, I need to talk about this because this is a pain point. I wouldn't be invited back, and
Yeah,
I've already had to have uh, people stick their neck out for me and stuff like that. So like I get it, I very much get it, which is why I'm not trying to talk about my situation at all because I'm sitting here patient, but I am. I do have to keep that line of communication open. I do have to keep saying, hey, is something wrong? Hey, is something wrong? Because if something like this comes up, I'm in the exact same boat as the demoers.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think even that's crazy. Like, obviously, you don't have to touch on this, but like, I think it's wild that it's taking quite this long for such a small company, right? Like you mentioned, construction work, city work. Yeah, of course, that can take freaking 6 months sometimes. Like
Well,
they have a
yeah, they
million
got
contracts.
usually
Yeah,
there's like 4 or 5 different companies that are paying for different work, right? Like it's one company paying down a tree, and then you also have to get work certified before you get the payments. And like if you installed,
absolutely.
yeah, if you installed things wrong, they're not going to pay you. So like there's a lot
Yeah.
of oversight.
But like, how are
This,
you handling this in between events, right? How are you going from event to event when we haven't paid the last event's contractors? Like that seems wild to me. Like I would want all of like dot your I's, cross your T's, right? Do not
right?
move on from the next event until everybody's been paid what they're due.
Yeah, and so this is not to throw any shade, right? This is not to, I guess, speak ill of UVS games, but I do think it is fair to make the comparison to every event that I've talked to judges. They have never had issues.
Nice, nice.
The only time, so as a caster, I've been paid I've had my stuff set up by the TO one time, and that one TO didn't pay me for one Uber. And like, I'm upset about it. I emailed people about it for months. I got over it. It's, not worth burning bridges over, you
Yeah,
know?
fair.
It was very annoying. And like, on the principle of the matter, I will refuse to say that I've been fully compensated, right? Because the principle should
Fair.
matter somewhat. But it's also not something I need to go make a big fuss about. So, that being said, and again, that's like a different situation than judges will, right? Judges don't have the same transportation compensation that casters have, and I think they're getting it all synced up to be like more similar. But the point is every time I've judged once even, but every time I've talked to a judge, they get handled. The TOs take care of them, and the judge staff is usually bigger than the casting staff.
Yeah,
The judge staff
absolutely.
is comparable to the demo staff. When I judged for the Vegas RLE, they handed me cash.
Yeah.
Day one, they're like, here's your whole per diem for the weekend. It's in cash. Boom. Like, it was, I'm good. I'm paid. I sent, I didn't even have to send an invoice for the TOing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Or
great.
for
Like,
I didn't have to send an invoice to the TO, I should say, for judging.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's like, again, like I don't expect that at every event, right? You don't have to pay me cash. You don't have to pay all of your people cash, but like they should definitely get paid before they're commentating for the next event that they're commentating.
Your per diem should be paid in advance. I will
Yeah,
say that.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
I don't because I don't know if you know the Latin translation
Yeah,
for per diem.
yeah,
It's per
yeah,
day, and so I do think that getting like your food vouchers and your stipends and per diem stuff handled posthumously is like annoying. But again,
yeah,
that's not like a complaint. What the demo team has is a legitimate complaint, and you have to imagine it gets resolved today, right?
yeah, yeah. Like their Discord's still blowing up about it. Like
Like
you
it's noon here on the West Coast. I don't know where everybody is. UVS Games, I think, is generally a West Coast company, and like, I'm sure it's the first thing anyone's talked about on a meeting or a Slack or whatever media they use to communicate. And I have the utmost faith that it will be taken care of. But this is huge. This is like a big because like after this, there's going to be like one more event for most people, and then you're going to be expecting people to travel to your worlds, right?
yep.
And this is like your last opportunity. This upcoming winter warm up event, as far as we know, is your last opportunity to hype up worlds, to get more people going to worlds with travel vouchers. And the last thing you want is people going into it thinking, okay, well, if I'm working with the company, am I going to get paid before worlds?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
If you took off a weekend of work to judge a webcam event, and you're not going to be judging worlds if you want to play in worlds, if you're not working worlds, you probably are going to need that money to afford the travel. You're probably going to need like that bonus, even if it's only like even if it's like the correct amount, right? Like even if it's a third of what you were normally expecting, because you're getting like the normal amount, you're going to need that pocket change to comfortably afford this travel. And so it's one of those things where keeping your community happy is just going to reward you in the long run.
Yeah, repairing the fact of like, do we even want to now, right? Like we're such a small community. Andrew Holder's video like blew up. The
Yeah.
Discord was ranting and raving at 2 o'clock in the morning my time. People were still jamming out conversations. So like you have to ask yourself, if we don't fix this soon, and like with a real like announcement and apology, are people even going to want to work our worlds event, which is the event we want people to work, right? We want
Yeah.
employees there, we want demoers there.
Yeah, that's the main thing too, right? Like now, um and it all comes from whatever the miscommunication was. Like when they told people they were going to get paid a third of what they were expecting, when someone made the decision to say, hey, you're actually going to get paid this lesser amount, they basically gave up their ability to handle this quietly.
Yeah,
And so I hate to be corny about it, but I do think, in my personal opinion, that the apology has to be as loud and as public as the disrespect.
yep, I
And
very much agree.
and and again, all these people were contacted, individually and privately, so you might not think it's public, but again, like, you're not they weren't going to give people an option. For all
Yeah,
we know, they have already sent the payments out to these people of the 250, not the agreed upon amount, and they'll just drop it which again, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't want that to happen, but that could be a reality. And if that's the case, like, you're not going to have a single happy person in your community.
Yeah, no.
Because even people who aren't like affected by this or have like strong opinions about this are going to have their entire day ruined by everyone else talking about
Yes, yeah, the guy that just wants to come talk about his Sato deck is going to be met with. Now, we're not talking about Sato. We're actually talking about the fact that they can't pay their people.
Right. Like, I wanted to talk about side events and how do we generate more players at events and how do we make the average person, how do you get the person who's going to go O2 drop to have a great time, basically? That's what I wanted to focus on today. And I think that we had some great back and forth on that topic, but we had to address this because everyone is going to be commenting on it. Everyone's going to be wondering where that is. And, frankly, I'd rather do it here in this controlled environment where I can basically ask you about it rather than rant on my own stream. Because anyone who's watching this now, if you've been with us this whole time, thank you. But I don't want to talk about this on stream tonight.
Yeah, no, super fair. You want to focus on other things? Absolutely.
I want to play games with people. I want to talk about the ban list. I want to talk about, like the Nomu deck I played and why it was an actual travesty and an insult to all 5-handers everywhere. And how I should not have made top cuts. Like, I have a pretty interesting tournament run report. I want to talk about anything other than this.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't want your chat just blowing up about this one topic for sure.
Yeah, and so I don't know how public it'll be. I assume people will just probably reach out to Willie T and Andrew Holder about it since they were the people who kind of stood up for them. Because as far as I know, Willie T was a judge and Andrew was playing the event. Like, neither of them were even the demo team, right? So, like you said, it's people who are probably afraid that if they speak up, they just won't ever get paid or they won't get to, like, demo again because they're obviously people who care about the game.
To do that. Yeah, exactly. These are your, like, even you guys, right? The commentators, like, you guys are the ambassadors for this card game. I'm just some content creator that talks crap about UVS games. You guys are like the face. You guys, everybody knows who you are. I cannot imagine how many random people come up to you at an event. Hey, I saw you on stream,
Right.
Like, these are the people that you should be supporting the most.
Well, and I'll say this. I don't think I've ever seen you guys, like, really bag on UVS games. I've only really seen you guys ask them, like, for fixes, right? Like, you just ask them to do better.
I love the card game as well, right? I want to keep playing it. I'm not trying to catch a ban or anything.
What's the phrase I think you stole from Andrew? It's like the game is fucked up good.
Yes, yeah, the game is fucked up good. That is still the case.
Yeah, the game is still fucked up good. It's just, it just seems like everything moves a little too slow. Things are a little too delayed. Miscommunications are still happening a little too much. And it's like, let me just play the game, man. Let me just play the game and not have to worry about, if I work for the company, am I going to get paid? If I work for them, is something else going to change? And, one of my locals was asking me about, like, should I judge or whatever? I'm like, talking to him about it, and I hadn't done it yet. So, like, now that I had my experience, RTO was awesome. Our event was small. It was easy. It was a great time. We weren't perfect, and I kind of wish that the event was even a little bit bigger because we probably would have been on our toes a bit more. And it, like I said, like, nothing's ever perfect, but it was a smoothly run event, and everyone there got paid. And everyone else I've talked to who judged, the TOs took care of it. They all got paid. Everyone who's worked with UVS games has had completely different experiences. People have had wonderful experiences and people have had awful ones. And you don't hear about them because typically they make it right.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel it's a similar issue to every other issue that they've had before. It starts with, like, miscommunication, right? And I have to have faith that is what happened here. I have to have faith that maybe we didn't talk to the head honcho, right? Maybe Paul wasn't contacted. Maybe Lohan wasn't contacted. I have to hope that the little guy decided to make a decision and it was the wrong one. and then it got blown up at 2 a.m., right? I've had this happen before. I worked at a warehouse. At the warehouse, we told our employees that they were going to get a 50% bonus for the year. We hit the 50% target. They only got a 30% one. Oof. But they didn't contact me, the site manager. They contacted a supervisor about it, who also got that same 30% bonus and blew it up, right? Like, this is bullshit. Why would they do this to us? Nobody came to me until it was far too late. The whole warehouse is rioting. Like, we're going to strike. We're never coming back. When it was a simple fact, like, yeah, I'll give you guys the 20%. All you had to do was, like, hit me up, you know? Like,
right. Well, that's what I'm thinking is, like, that's why whenever the problem, like, it's just, again, that's why it's so weird, because the problem became someone said, hey, we messed up, we're actually going to pay you a different amount. Without that email, no one ever hears about this, right? Without that contact. And, like, it seems very strange. Again, it just seems very strange, like, top to bottom, because if that was the case, I feel like you would have paid people at the same time you made that message. You know what I mean? Like, it'd already be...
Yeah, for sure. Like, you would have already paid them the $250. Yeah, absolutely.
Which would have been terrible. Mind you, which would have also been, like, really awful and would have probably sent people deeper over the edge. But it's like, what do you gain by bringing it up and not acting on it?
Yeah. Why start the conversation where you should know how bad it can go?
Yeah, it should just be like, oh, hey, we processed your payment. It was supposed to be this. It's in your bank account now. You know? Yep. Otherwise, it's almost like they're just testing the waters to be like, okay, will they actually backlash against this? And then we have to pay the amount? Like, if you're willing to just pay the full amount, just pay it. And, like, you know, you can even tell people, you can say, hey, we messed up. It was actually supposed to be this. Please don't expect this in the future, but we took care of you. Again, like, nobody's going to be upset if you pay them what you agreed to. And if whoever, because we like the people who work at UVS games, right? All the people are swell. You have to really, like, remove the human entities from it, right? When you talk about a company. But, like, whatever mistake was made internally should be dealt with internally. That shouldn't fall out to the people who worked for you, you know? Plenty of people have mentioned that they wouldn't have accepted the offer. So that tells you already that something's wrong. If you were going to offer an amount where nobody would have signed up to do it, then clearly, like, the miscommunication is, like, the least of your worries.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Like, if nobody would have signed up, then where would you be right now? Yeah, 100%.
Right. If you just actually had no demoers, are you in a better place?
Yeah.
Right? So, like, maybe this is, like, a small reality check of, like, if someone's going to come work an event for 3 days, which means that's 5 days of travel, right? Because you got to travel in, you got to work the 3 days, and you got to travel out. But realistically, for most people, that's a 5-day trip. That's at least 3 days of work if they manage to overlap it with their actual weekend. And if the amount that you're going to compensate them does not make the trip worth it, then, you know, if you can't even break even off that, then, like, I think
why am I doing it?
Yeah, like, it just, again, like, I'm struggling to find the words because it does not make sense. It doesn't make sense that they would offer an amount so low in the first place, which is why it would make sense that someone miscommunicated it, right? Because then somebody, like, if you'd said, okay, you need to send out emails for the judges, they get $250 a day for 3 days, and then you need to send out emails to the demoers, and they get $250 over 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an easy mistake to make. But
absolutely,
there should also be a massive red flag going off that you're expecting people to come demo for 3 days for $250.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the travel stipends are really cool. I mean, people have volunteered for less, don't get me wrong. But then you need to be very clear that this is a volunteer thing, and you will almost exclusively get locals to the venue. Like, people from Dallas.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, you will get people who otherwise weren't going to go to the event because they didn't want to pay to play in the main event or they didn't want to go to the con. And they'll instead come and volunteer for you and you give them product. And they drove, 4 hours from wherever they are in Texas and they had a good time. That's what you're going to get. And instead, what we got were people who went above and beyond, people who were active all weekend, who were flagging people down. They were going up to people walking by and saying, "Hey, you want to come over?" Like, that's a real skill. That's people skills I don't have.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100% collecting people to sit down and play this demo of a game that they're clearly like not there for, right? They came for
Right.
a different card game.
Yeah, and so, we I don't know. It seems like such a simple thing. It's wild that we managed to talk about it for 20 minutes. When
Yeah.
really we just been spinning our wheels on like there's an obvious solution. It's an obvious mistake. It's not malicious. I don't think it's malicious.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think somebody said we'll sucker them into agreeing to this amount and then pull the rug out from under them. But I do think that if you did intend to pay people 1/3 what you were paying the judges, obviously there needs to be another discussion, right? Because internally you got to have the discussion. Okay, we cannot have a miscommunication of this magnitude ever again. It just cannot happen, right? It's one of those things where your bosses at every job ask you to do the impossible, which is not make a mistake. And that's how it has to be.
Yep.
Then the next conversation has to be, okay, we need a demo team of 8 people. What can we afford to pay them? And why is it not enough to get anyone to do it?
Yeah, for sure. It's also like crazy. Like, again, like you said earlier, hopefully maybe we're just talking about this and it's all null and void now. They figured it out.
Already been handled before it's uploaded.
This problem and more in 20 minutes. And we're at the 12-hour mark of Andrew and Willie T releasing their videos and still nothing so far. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's not a lot of information. It's not even really our business, right? It's not even really for us to talk about, and yet it has become news within the community because people are afraid that they're not going to get what they agreed to. They don't have a platform. They don't have a voice. They don't want to, lose out on opportunities. They don't want to burn any bridges. And yet, as members of our community, we can't let this happen to them.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Absolutely. We do have platforms, right? It's been like a topic of discussion in a couple of my last videos is that like you see Tam, you see yourself, especially a while back when you were releasing like your meme videos about like the problems and whatnot. Like those things are super necessary in a community. They need to see that we see what they're doing wrong,
Or at the very least, you got to put your opinion out there. I feel like there's nothing virtuous about silence. You know? I really feel like if discretion is the better part of valor, then then you have to use your voice to how do I put this? You have to use your voice to make your intentions known. I really feel, because one of my least favorite things is when people let stuff stew and they let it build and then they explode and it's like they never mentioned it before. It was never a big deal, and then all of a sudden they're just like 0 to 100. And it's like you said before with the manager thing at the warehouse. If you just came to me first.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Just don't talk to the little guy. Talk to the guy that paid you the bonus in the first place, and like maybe we'll work it out.
Yeah, like if we can just fix it the first time, you don't have to let it fester and build to the point where it's an angry mob, right? And
absolutely.
So yeah, you've heard me say it before on Twitch and everything, where it's like, and why I do this, I want to extend the voice of other people in the community. When I was doing like winter interviews for Orange Card, Blue Card, and stuff, like I just want to shine a spotlight on people and let them know that they're a part of the community. That they are with us in this, and the demo team is not only with us in the community, but they are the people who are growing your community. So I don't want to spend any more time on this topic because we're not going to solve the issue from over here.
Yeah, most definitely not. Most definitely not.
Yeah, but I do hope that just a little bit of context, and again, like people are going to ask, I'm going to tell them to watch this podcast instead of talking about it on stream, because as it stands right now with the information we have, it's pretty obvious what needs to happen, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, I do want to end on a more positive note. I do want to talk about things that we are excited for. This is kind of a staple for me. I want to end on basically speculation, I think, about the future, because we've got essentially one format we have to assume for both the winter warm-up part 2, or do they have a different name for the next webcam event?
No, it's Winter Webcam Warm-Up part 2. Yeah,
okay. Part 2 Winter Boogaloo. So we're gonna have that, and then we're basically gonna have the Worlds format, right? It's the same format. So we have the 2 tournaments, and your last official way to test your deck going into this Jetburn format, and what most people are going to be playing at LCQs, is coming up. And we just had the Capture Evil Doers ban, Back Alley's out of there. Who's the top dog now? Who's number 1 in the format now?
I mean, it's just gotta be Jiro, right? Like it absolutely has to be. She only gained from this, right? Now she doesn't have to worry about these decks that can turn to her back. Like,
I mean, Jiro only lost to Ryukyu, right?
Yeah, exactly. And now that you don't have Capture Evildoers, maybe I win that match.
Yeah. Oh no. He ID'd with Ryu. He lost to Mirio.
Mirio, same thing. Yeah, same
also
thing.
Capture.
Yeah, exactly.
Patrick was literally doing like suboptimal captures to keep Jiro off momentum, and it worked out.
Yeah,
he was.
There's like I watched their game in finals. I watched like the finals match. Their game was wild.
Yeah, like Mitch more than once revealed double attacks. Like 3 times, I think he revealed double attacks off the top of his deck, and so often we were watching him do his once per turn and then like fail a block with a 3. So like Jiro can definitely flame out, right? There's definitely still the luck element, even with her once per turn. It's not always gonna go smoothly, but Patrick's Capture Evildoers on a 4, and he checked a 3 that he knew he was gonna check. Did tons of work, right?
Absolutely.
And so now that that's not an issue, I don't want to play Jiro on webcam, but Mitchell Cimino has proven that is just not even a real issue if you know when and how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, giving them the information. And again, especially now that you can't do these cheeky things of like clearing the top 2 cards of your deck because I cleared my card pool.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
I also really like the idea of having stuff like Taiyaki Fanatic out. If you're worried about your opponent drawing the card that you stack now, like Air can kind of, you can kind of afford to play a 2/5 destroy cost.
Yeah, for sure. I think people should be playing way more cancels than they are. So
yeah, there's all kinds of like nasty pick up this attack. I mean, Fierce Wings is a target for it, right? So,
absolutely.
Jiro also was not using Capture on good, and she's still a good symbol deck that got better with Jetburn. So like both of her most played symbols got a huge buff. I guess really the only question is there an all symbol deck we just haven't played yet?
Yeah. People are focused on the weapons and the charges, and maybe we get to just jam all good stuff.
Yeah, like Dragon Impact Jiro. It's a charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That one's not real. Please don't play Dragon Impact. She's not even a pro hero. So then if you're saying Jiro's number 1, I've been saying Jiro's number 1 for a long time, even without the results to truly back it up. And I always use the cop out answer that I'm not playing Juro on webcam. I don't think she's number one on webcam. But I might have to suck it up and just do it after Mitch's like phenomenal run that came to a grinding halt in top 4.
Yeah, fair.
Other than that, I think if it's not Jiro who's number one, I think that there's a real world where Momo is number one.
Yeah, very much agree. I feel people have just stopped playing that character just because of like the difficulty curve. But like every time Broberg's picked up that list, he's just like won the event with it, right? Like
yeah. So the two major things is she doesn't get new tools as much as other people. Even though she gets like play nice with the new assets that come out, they're usually not like so over the top that that it makes like a massive difference. She doesn't get new weapons very often. They're usually doing stuff that she doesn't quite care about, like with Toga stuff, or they're just like not raw powerful enough. But she gets access to stuff like Fierce Wings, which helps tutor even more blocks. Fierce Wings picks up Rising Starlet from the Disco
Rising Starlet, yeah, be able to block with it, build it down, gain a life, yeah.
Yeah, it also picks up like Fierce Wings picks up every block zone for a weapon for her, right? It can also get quick creation, so you can have like more selection, from your once per turn and that. She's just got the defense that you need to actually chain block everything. And one of the only reasons I didn't play her, because she was the deck I started with. I started with an all symbol Momo with Jetburn. Yeah, and I was like, this is going to be my deck. It does sick things. I play Dramatic Slash.
Dramatic Slash is so good.
Yeah, I play it with High Key Mirage. So, like, when you have High Key Mirage in your momentum, you can discard it with Dramatic Slash to build your asset, and then use your asset.
Funny.
Yeah, then you use your asset to put it in the card pool. So I was killing people with like a +6 damage from quick creation, +9 speed from the cards it added, and like it was sick. Do you know what happened?
Capture Evildoers? You got turn 2'd?
Close. I played against Dragon Impact, and my character was committed.
Yes, yeah, 100%. That certainly does affect Momo the same way it does Eraserhead, Recovery Girl.
Nomu, yeah, all of them. So I was like, I can't play this deck into a field of Ryukyus. And also that deck, ironically, just like the Nomu deck, is pretty weak to Mirio, where I'm trying to like powerful out like one big move with a super negative to your block.
He just makes it 0. Yeah,
and he's just like, actually, you don't get to stream. Like it's not a stream deck. So, but yeah, I think Momo has a real shot now. Especially if people just quit playing Mirio. You said people are down to not play the cringe, and yet there's still always like too many Mirios.
Yeah. The good punches have always been like the exception to that rule for whatever reason, right? Like back when like me and like when All Might 3 was first revealed, I really only saw like me and Chris Smith playing the deck until we had success with it, right? And then we saw 50 All Might 3s get registered at an event.
Hey, I did top with it in the first provisional showdown, I'll have you know.
Hey, there we go. So yeah, Sam Tate as well. There we go.
I then never played the deck ever again, and I pretty much only played it because I felt like it had an okay Kirishima 1 matchup, and I sideboarded Kirishima 1 because I didn't want to play the cringe, but I knew its power.
the old diversity play, right? Sideboard the whole thing.
It was going to be the first webcam event I ever played in, and I had a feeling things were going to take longer, so I was like, if I win game 1 and then side into Kirishima 1, and you're like literally any character other than Kirishima, I can probably just time you out.
Yeah, fair. Take it 1-0. Yeah,
like,
super fair.
And I'm not going to be like slow playing, I'm going to be like just blocking forever. So
when Recovery Girl first came out, that's what I did in AM3. I sided into Recovery Girl and took games 1-0. I sided out 9 attacks and my character sided in 9 foundations in Recovery Girl.
That's pretty funny. I think strategies like that are funny. I don't think I don't think playing for a 1-0 is like inherently wrong or anything like that, but I know some people think it's non-competitive, but I don't know. You got an hour to kill me. Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You got to put it, like, if you let me get game one, like, you got to put up the numbers. As long as I don't actually play slow, like, it's
Yeah,
up to
yeah,
you.
100%. Yep.
What sport does a team with the lead have to take risk, right?
Yeah, yep.
It's just not how the game is played. So, are you playing in the next winter warm up webcam event?
I am definitely going to register for that one as well.
You got any sauce? Do you know what you're playing? You don't got to spill
Uh,
all the details if you don't want. I
yeah,
know.
yeah. I won't spoil everything, but like I'm gonna be playing this guy. We're playing Bakugo
Okay.
4.
Okay, yeah, you were talking about that earlier. Is he your favorite from Jetburn?
I think he just like fires like a lot of neurons, right? Like there's so many buttons that you get to press in a turn that like just makes him like a really fun play experience. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with him. I like just pressing all of his buttons. I like stun 5 on my first attack is pretty sick.
Yeah. The explosive rebuke. Yep.
Yeah,
Um, I do think he gets to play like cards you wouldn't normally play.
yeah, for sure.
I think that's a big thing. His manly friendships are also nuts.
Yes, yeah. There's so many like good like neg ones that like he actually like now activates on his turn.
Yeah, I'm a little, yeah, see, I'm so torn on his symbols because Snack Time is such a winner for explosive rebuke. Um, but like on the, what is it on, he has fire, right? Am I tripping?
Avoid.
Or he's air,
Void.
death, void?
Yep,
Air,
exactly.
death,
Air
void, yeah. It's, on void, he's got the manly friendships, and then he's
Yep.
also got like all the discard support, right? So,
Yeah, 100%. He's got like villainous waylay as well. Like that card is
yep.
insane in Bakugo.
People forget that rejuvenating smash is a fury.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Like, can you imagine, like, the absolute disgust I'm gonna feel the first time someone goes, all right, rejuve on a 6, I'll draw 2, first enhance, you discard 1.
Yeah, and even the other, what's the other deck you are where like the attack has to be at 14 damage?
Vindicating smash 15, it's one
Yeah,
of my favorites. It's total
yeah.
junk.
I had a locals high roll me by going rabble rousing, rabble rousing, rabble rousing, vindicating smash.
No shot. No shot. That's still only +6 though, right?
Yeah, and then he just activated his several one diffs that he had
Oh,
built.
okay,
And
okay, yeah,
activate them
yeah.
on rabble rousing. Yeah, it was messed
See,
up.
Vindicating is my kind of jank, and I still haven't quite found a home for it yet. Um, I'm starting to think that there's actually a an all for one angle there, but we'll have to see. There's a lot of cooking you have to do to play an all for one.
Yeah, fair, fair.
There, you want to talk about firing neurons? Like that guy plays in like the forbidden space of the game. You
Yeah,
know, you
yeah,
get
absolutely.
you get to actually know what your like random momentum is because at the start of the rival's turn, you can just go, "Oh, I added this from the top of my deck. Yeah, I'll put it back."
Yes.
You know. So there might be some cooking there. Ultimate combination's funny. Um, there's like so many like powerful void punches that Midoriya 4 just doesn't use properly because he gives them a better powerful anyways. So
Yeah.
they're looking for a character that like pumps speed and generates momentum. So I don't know. We're cooking somewhere on the void symbol.
Yeah, yeah. Void has a huge glow up and like especially like punches, right? Kirishima 1 certainly had the void symbol, so like you're already off to a great start.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's super scary out there. I do think the format's going to slow down just a tiny bit because people are going to be more willing to play the slower decks. But if my time playing Gravity Rush Nomu has taught me anything, people are still going to play six-handers, no defense, and attempt to jam a 6 difficulty attack turn 2 on you. And if you're not ready for it, you will lose to it.
Yeah, yeah. This deck is definitely 50 cards and 18 attacks.
Yeah, so I played against an Aoyama, who I don't think ever played a single defensive card against me. and every turn 2 was just like ignited arrow, -4 difficulty to my next card, prominence burn on a 3, and I was just like, damn, prominence burn actually hurts me.
Yeah,
Like,
fair. The only defense piece I'm running is struggling with studies, and that's just for the absolute degenerate play of blocking with rabble rousing,
yeah,
giving their attacks -1, and telling them that if they play more, I'm picking this up and playing it on my turn as well.
doing your best Conway Woods impression. I like it.
Yes, yes,
That's actually sick. We should play rabble rousing Conway Woods.
yes.
That would be pretty tight. Does air have a way to pick up a block though?
I
I don't think
is
so.
no, because not an attack. Yeah,
Not a
yeah,
retrieval. No, that's a shame.
yeah,
Because if you could get the rabble rousing Kamui, then respond with both, right? Ready Kamui. Then on the next attack, do it again. You're like -4 for the turn.
yes.
And air actually has like some zone changes now, so I think what's it called? It's not problem solving. The Asui 2 diff that all it does is you discard a card once per turn, change the zone of an attack. I think that card is waiting to be like the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's gonna be decks that are like, I need Airy Smiles to like go off to be my defense. It's gonna be worth discarding the card, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
if it had a showdown symbol, you know that's where
Yes,
everyone would be with it.
my showdowns will always proc now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think doesn't Chaos have another nasty action block too? Maybe I'm just thinking of mana.
Yeah,
I felt like they had some kind of nasty breaker or something, but there's definitely stuff on all 3 symbols now where you need to change the zone to get like some traction going, and it's got it's got like synergies, right? With it, it's got like some powerful stuff. So I think that card's going to be a little underrated. A lot of people are going to play it as a one of. But if you see it more often, you'll probably survive turn 2 a little more because like you're only going to block once, right? But
yeah,
your opponent's playing like a zone you don't have. Also, if people keep playing Mirio, which I can't believe that
yeah.
character.
That card is very good against Mirio.
Yeah, I can't believe that character is as good as he is at putting stats on things.
Yes,
So
yeah,
the amount of times I had to listen to Mirio, because I played 2 of them and I only beat one through judge damage. Like they were gonna put me to 4 life on turn 2, and like it was not gonna be pretty. So, like I was pretty much like I wasn't 100% gonna lose, but I was like 99% gonna lose that. So like if people are gonna still play Mirio, like that's a card that you should really look into, because if you end up with 2 high blocks and they start calling low, like congrats, you can now block 1 attack instead of 0.
yes, yeah, absolutely. Which is definitely something.
I think other than that, I'm really looking out for just more like Earth good stuff decks. Even without back alley, we saw people dropping it from good symbol decks. I think Earth Fury package is legit.
Yeah, Earth on several different avenues got like the biggest glow up of this set, right? We see things like falling skies. Like there's so much value in like the Achako starter kit for Earth.
Yeah, there's some really wacky stuff you can do with mimicry now.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Even I don't know if it was ever ruled, but there was even like a weird thing with mimicry and vast strength, where like because of how copies of abilities works, mimicry allows you to vast strength 2 things.
well, yes, because even though it's copying the ability from Vast Strength, it is not the ability on Vast Strength.
Yeah, yeah,
And that is not something that you read the first time because it's using the word copy twice, but it's using copy in 2 different contexts. And that is Something I wasn't sure how they were going to rule it. I don't know if they have officially ruled it.
Same, yeah, I have no idea. But if they ruled it in favor, like Ryukyu should definitely be like jamming a copy of that card.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, who needs capture evil doers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like we just have a 3 diff and a 2/4, and we can
Yes.
like okay. So realistically, like capture evil doers clears 2 cards from your card pool, right?
Yep.
Vast Strength picks up a card that clears a card from your card pool. That's clearing 2 cards from your card pool.
Yes. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Mimicry is just now our capture evil doers. I think we figured out
100%.
what's winning the next event.
Yes.
I think we're just playing Ryukyu on Earth now, boys. I think we did it. All right, man. Well, I have had an absolute blast. Do you have any shout outs or anyone you want to shine a spotlight on in the community?
Well, Ace Maneuvers, thanks for having me on your show, man. Of course, my team, Undefeated at Locals, go check out our YouTube channel. Me and Edgar run things over there, and we have a whole team of people that we play with. And yeah, just the community, man. I love it here. Been playing this card game since set 1, and it's been an absolute blast to join you guys.
It's fucked up good.
It is fucked up good.
It's a fucked up good game. All right, well, I, of course, am Sam Tate. Go buy your cards at unfunstuff.com. You can use the code PLUGIN to save 5%. It helps me out. It helps you out. It helps everyone out. Yeah, until next time, guys, I guess we'll see you at the winter webcam warm-up event. That's going to do it for this episode of Orange Card, Blue Card. I'll see you next time. Peace out.